For the sacral plexus, as we know, the main focus of the sacral plexus will be the sciatic nerves, which is the biggest single nerves in the body, and the pudendal, of course. But what basically gives rise to in the sacral plexus? The sacral plexus is coming from the S1 to S4, but it also has a contributions from the L4 and L5, S1. Okay, so S1, S2, S3. So this is basically the sciatic nerves origin. That is why it comes from these 5 sacral nerves. So it is the biggest nerves in the body. So at the same time, from the sacral plexus, we also have the superior and also the inferior gluteal. Superior gluteal nerves, and also the inferior gluteal nerves. As you can see the name, the superior gluteal nerves basically coming from the L4 to S1, while the inferior comes from the L5 to S2, so it's slightly lower as compared to the superior. That's hence the name. But another favorite question is about the locations of the nerves that it relates to the piriformis, which will be explained later. But the superior gluteal nerves will give innervations to the gluteus medius, this one the inferior gluteus maximus, and the rest one is from the superior gluteal nerves. Okay, and basically for the superior, it leaves the greater sciatic foramen above the piriformis muscles. So let me just catch you. This is the sacrum, and we have the ilium here with the obturator, and we have the ischial spine. So let's say this is sacrum. So we have the SSF, the sacrum and spinous ligament, and we have a piriformis muscle that's actually comes from the sacrum, and it attached to the greater promontory. To the greater trochanter of the femur. So basically, the question that they like to ask is about where basically the locations, anatomical positions of the gluteal nerves. So the gluteal nerves basically goes out from the greater sciatic foramen above the piriformis muscles, while the inferior below the piriformis muscle together with the sciatic nerves. So let me just sketch a bit on the what's inside the greater sciatic foramen. So inside the greater sciatic foramen, we have the superior gluteal. Let's begin with the nerves first. Superior gluteal nerves, and we have the inferior gluteal nerves. We have the, of course, sciatic nerves, and sciatic nerves give rise to the pudendal nerves. And of course, with the pudendal nerve, we have the other nerves, which includes the what do we call that? Pudendal nerves. We have the femorocutaneous nerves, which is the posterior one. This is basically the posterior femorocutaneous nerve. Basically comes from the sciatic nerves, because sciatic basically it will goes leaving the greater sciatic foramen and goes to the posterior part of the thigh. So it will, after the 1/3 lower 1/3 of the thigh, it will divide itself into two branches, which is the anterior branches and also the posterior branches. And the posterior branches basically will divide further. This will be the tibia, which is it's gonna go through the popliteal fossa and give rise to the common peroneal nerves here. And we have the anterior one, which is the fibula. Okay, and the sciatic nerves will also gives innervations to the posterior cutaneous nerves. Okay, so what other nerves that we have in the greater sciatic foramen? We also have the quadratus femoris, and also we have the obturator. This one is obturator externus, from the obturator nerves in this lumbar plexus, and we have the obturator internus. This is all inside the greater sciatic foramen. That is for the nerves. What about the artery? So we have the superior, inferior, gluteal artery, and we have the inferior internal pudendal artery. And of course, the muscles that we have here is our piriformis muscles. And what's enter from the artery, what's enter the greater sciatic foramen? So in Latin, because I was studying in Russia, so foramina sciatica minora, this one majora. So last sciatic foramen, basically the nerves that comes back into the pelvic cavity again after leaving the pelvic cavity and curve around the sacrospinous ligament is of course our pudendal nerves, and also in internal pudendal artery. So the pudendal nerves, as we know, let me sketch again. So we have the ilioinguinal here, iliohypogastric, ilioinguinal. This one is L1. And we have the genitofemoral, also giving innervations to here. Genitofemoral from L1, L2. And we have the perineal, ilioinguinal, okay. And we have the perineal nerves, pudendal nerves, sorry. So the pudendal nerves, basically after entering the Alcock canal, it will innervate the dorsal, clitoris, perineal, and also the inferior rectal. So inferior rectal will basically innervate the external anal sphincter to the voluntary one, and the perineal basically it's also innervates the perineal, the bulbospongiosus, ischiocaverna, of course the clitoris, and also the scrotum and the penis. And yeah, I think that's all. So the favorite question, I just got the favorite questions from the MRCOG. I hope it helps.